All right, let's talk about the modern workplace. It can be this incredibly complex, sometimes frustrating system, right? But it's also a place with so much potential. Today, we're going to put the pieces together and really figure out what makes a workplace not just function, but truly succeed. I mean, think about it for a second. Have you ever had one of those managers who just seemed to make everything 10 times harder? The kind of boss who could demotivate an entire team and just made you dread Monday mornings? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. But then, on the flip side, maybe you've had the exact opposite experience. A team where everyone is just in sync. Communication is easy, ideas flow, and you get amazing things done together. It almost feels like magic when that happens. So what is it? What's the secret ingredient that separates that toxic, soul-crushing environment from a team that's absolutely thriving? Well, I can tell you it's not magic, and it's definitely not just luck. The answer is all about understanding the people inside the organization. The best way to think about any workplace is like a giant, complicated puzzle. You've got all these different pieces. You have individuals, you have teams, goals, structures, and they all need to fit together just right. Because at its very core, that's all an organization really is, right? A bunch of people trying to achieve the same thing. Doesn't matter if it's a huge tech company or a local coffee shop. The real challenge is coordinating all that human effort. And that right there, that's where brilliant strategies can completely fall apart, but it's also where amazing teams are born. The good news is there's a whole field of science dedicated to solving this exact puzzle. It's called organizational behavior, or OB for short. Think of it as the playbook for understanding the human side of work. And right at the center of this whole puzzle, you'll find the manager. See, their job isn't really about spreadsheets and deadlines. Their main function is to get things done through other people. And that means their single most critical skill is understanding what makes people tick. Now, you'd probably assume managers spend most of their day planning strategy and making big decisions. But when a researcher named Fred Luthans actually studied 450 managers, he found something pretty shocking. The traditional management stuff, that was less than a third of their time. The overwhelming majority of their day was spent on people, communicating, dealing with team dynamics, and networking. And this is exactly why the best managers don't just wing it. They use a framework. And that framework is OB. It's a formal field of study that looks scientifically at how individuals, the groups they form, and the overall company's structure all impact behavior at work. And the whole point? To use that knowledge to make the entire organization run better. To make this huge topic easier to handle, OB breaks it all down into 3 levels. First, you have the individual level, where we look at things like personality and what motivates someone. Then you've got the group level, where we study things like teamwork and leadership. And finally, there's the organizational level, which is the big picture stuff like company culture. Each level builds right on top of the last. Okay, so right about now, you might be thinking, I have pretty good instincts about people. I can just rely on my gut. But the science of OB shows us why that can be a really, really dangerous way to operate. Look, we all use intuition, that gut feeling. It's fast, and hey, sometimes it's even right. But it's also notoriously unreliable because it's shaped by all our personal biases and our own limited experiences. OB gives us a much more powerful tool, a systematic, evidence-based approach. It replaces guesswork with actual knowledge, which lets us predict behavior with way more accuracy. And this is so important. So many popular management ideas, things that feel like common sense, have been totally debunked by research. For example, that old saying, a happy worker is a productive worker. It sounds right, but the data shows the relationship is actually much weaker and way more complex than we assume. Relying on myths like that can lead to some major mistakes. And let me tell you, using this evidence-based approach has never been more critical because the world of work is facing some absolutely massive challenges right now. For starters, look at workforce diversity. We're working with people from every background, every generation, every culture you can imagine. Managing that mix effectively isn't just about being nice. It's the engine of innovation. The teams that can truly harness different perspectives are going to outperform everyone else. The ones that can't, they're going to get left behind. Then there's the ethical minefield. From tiny little decisions to huge company-wide policies, the pressure to cut corners or look the other way is constant. OB helps us understand the psychology behind why good people sometimes make bad choices, and how to build a culture where integrity isn't just a poster on the wall, it's how you actually operate.
And finally, the very definition of a job is changing right under our feet. That traditional 9 to 5 career path, it's fading, and it's being replaced by a world of temporary contracts and freelance gigs. So how do you motivate someone who might be gone in 6 months? How do you build a cohesive team out of independent contractors? This changes everything.
And just how big is this shift? Well, take a look at this number. That's the share of the US workforce that is now part of the gig economy, 20%, 1 out of every 5 workers. This isn't some little niche trend. It's a fundamental reshaping of our economy, and we absolutely need the tools of OB to navigate it.
So after all that, why does this matter to you personally? Because understanding OB isn't just for managers. Honestly, it's a superpower for anyone who wants to build a successful career. It seriously doesn't matter if you're an accountant, a graphic designer, a nurse, or a software engineer. The principles of OB give you the exact skills that employers are desperately searching for, the skills that make you a great teammate and a future leader. These are the skills we're talking about. People sometimes call them soft skills, but that's just wrong. These are power skills. The ability to think critically about why a team isn't working, to communicate an idea in a way that truly inspires people, to collaborate so the final product is better than anything one person could do alone. This is what separates a good employee from an indispensable one, and it's all rooted in understanding people. So in the end, it all comes back to this one idea. Every workplace is a puzzle, and all the pieces are people. Learning how those pieces fit, how they think, how they behave, how they connect, that is the single most important skill you can develop for your career. So the only question left is, are you ready to start solving it?